Jungkook tells his military colleagues, "I don't know who's sincere among us anymore. Is it about Jean?" What happens when even the golden boy of BTS begins to question the brotherhood that once defined the group? Could Jungkook's chilling military remarks signal the most emotional fracture yet? And more alarmingly, was Jean the one he was talking about? Fans never imagined that BTS, the global symbol of unity, love, and unbreakable bonds, would ever reach a point where sincerity became a mystery among its own members. But now, with a leaked military confession making its rounds in private fan circles, everything people thought they knew about the closeness of BTS is being shattered piece by painful piece. In a conversation reportedly shared among trusted military peers, Jungkook allegedly voiced a moment of raw vulnerability that has now spread like wildfire across fan communities and insider forums. The words were simple, quiet, but devastating. "I don't know who's sincere among us anymore." The impact of that sentence alone has sent millions spiraling. What could lead someone as loyal and emotionally open as Jungkook to utter something so bleak? And more importantly, was this directed at a specific member? Speculation quickly turned toward Jean. Why Jean?
Why now?
The timeline raises disturbing questions. According to sources within the military unit, this confession didn't come out of nowhere. It allegedly followed a quiet exchange between Jungkook and another BTS member visiting during a morale event. That member, many believe, was Jean, but what happened during that meeting? Why was Jungkook left with more doubt than comfort? For years, armies have idolized the dynamic between the eldest and the youngest, the confident, often comedic role of Jean guiding the tender-hearted, younger Jungkook. But if this dynamic has changed behind closed doors, what does it say about what fame, pressure, and time have done to their trust? The sadness in Jungkook's voice reportedly didn't come from anger. It came from something much worse: quiet disappointment. The kind that brews from years of things left unsaid, feelings suppressed, and masks maintained for the sake of performance. And no one saw it coming. But maybe, in hindsight, the signs were always there. Look back at their last few group appearances before enlistment. There were fewer direct interactions between Jean and Jungkook than usual. Less banter, more distance. And for a group that built its identity on emotional transparency, even the smallest shift can speak volumes. Was this just a product of growing older and drifting apart? Or was something more painful growing behind the scenes? Some fans have even started connecting that it's between Jungkook's recent solo projects and the subtle sadness threaded through his lyrics. In particular, the line, "I gave you all of me, but you never even looked," has taken on new meaning for those re-examining his relationships within the group. Could that line have been about someone he once trusted more than anyone? The theory that it's about Jean has gained traction, not because of open conflict, but because of eerie silence. Jean has always been protective of Jungkook, but recently, his public remarks have grown more generic. Supportive, yes, but distant. No longer personal, no longer layered with the warmth that used to define their bond. And now, the military context makes it even more complex. Military service in South Korea is not just a duty, it's a rite of passage, a transformation, and for celebrities, a temporary exile. For Jungkook, who entered service already carrying emotional weight from the relentless demands of the industry, the environment may have cracked open parts of himself he was forced to hide for years. What if this was the first time he felt free enough to speak honestly? If that's true, then this confession could mark the most honest version of Jungkook fans have ever seen. The idea that he feels isolated, or worse, betrayed, has triggered a global emotional ripple. Armies are now divided, trying to understand what this could mean for BTS as a whole. Could this be the start of something irreversible? Will this emotional wound heal before the group reunites? And again, the question comes back full circle. Was Jean the one who hurt Jungkook? Or is Jean merely the symbol of something bigger, of the disillusionment Jungkook feels toward a system that demands closeness for the camera but allows emotional gaps behind it? As fan discussions intensify, one quote keeps circulating from an old Banging Bomb video. In it, a young Jungkook once said about Jean, "Hyung is like my shield. Even when he teases me, I know he'll protect me if I fall." But now, in the absence of that shield, Jungkook may be realizing just how heavy it is to stand alone. In the days following the initial leak of Jungkook's military confession, the ARMY community has fractured into waves of speculation, worry, and emotional reanalysis of everything Jungkook and Jeon have ever said to or about each other. There is no official confirmation. There are no direct accusations. But what's unraveling is something far more chilling: silence. Deafening, echoing silence. Not a single clarification has come from HYB. Not one line from Jeon. And certainly no denial from Jungkook. It's this silence that has only added fuel to the emotional wildfire. Because if there's truly nothing to hide, why hasn't it been addressed? Multiple fan translators who claimed to have access to the original statement said Jungkook wasn't lashing out. He wasn't bitter. He sounded tired, almost like someone who had fought long enough to believe in the idea of eternal brotherhood, only to learn that it might have been one-sided all along. Could this be tied to something deeper? Perhaps the structure within HYB itself. It's no secret that the company has, for years, played a careful balancing act between encouraging individual growth and preserving the collective image of BTS. But behind every group hug, every synchronized smile, there's the machine: coordinated, relentless, strategic, and sometimes suffocating. Some insiders claim that Jungkook, since debuting at just 15, has always looked up to Jeon as a kind of emotional compass. But what happens when that compass no longer points true north? Rewatch the 2022 Festa dinner. There's a moment where Jeon glances at Jungkook, saying with a half smile, "You're a man now. I can't tell you what to do anymore." It was passed off as a joke. But what if it wasn't? What if that line marked the beginning of an emotional distance that no one else noticed until it was too late? And if Jeon truly did become emotionally unavailable to Jungkook, was it by choice or by design? Fans who have followed BTS's rise from the beginning know that not everything has been as perfect as it seemed. There have always been whispers, creative disagreements, exhaustion, even periods of barely speaking between some members. But those were rumors, unconfirmed. Now, with this alleged confession, something feels different. More real, more devastating. Jungkook's words weren't shouted. They weren't part of a dramatic fight. They were quietly dropped into a room full of strangers, military colleagues with no cameras, no microphones, no script. In a place where sincerity is often the only thing left when the fame fades away temporarily, it's not hard to imagine Jungkook, seated on his barracks bunk after a day of drills, finally saying the one thing he had never been allowed to admit publicly: "I don't know who's sincere among us anymore." Was it a question? A declaration? A cry for help? Regardless, it echoes like a haunting melody across fan timelines. More importantly, it poses a terrifying possibility. What if Jungkook no longer believes in BTS the way we always believed he did? This isn't just about group dynamics. It's about identity. Jungkook isn't just a member of BTS. For millions, he is BTS. He's the youngest, the one they all swore to protect. If he is the one now feeling betrayed or disillusioned, what hope is there for the group's emotional integrity going forward? And why would he single out sincerity? That word, sincere, carries weight. It suggests masks. It suggests people playing roles. It suggests that what we've been seeing on screen may not match what happens when the cameras stop rolling. Fans are now scrambling through old live streams, scrutinizing every smile, every glance, every moment when Jungkook sat quietly while others joked. Was he hiding something back then? Was he already pulling away? The answer may never be clear. But there are patterns forming. The timing of this confession aligns closely with the period in which Jungkook was reportedly denied an early leave request, an event that caused emotional frustration behind the scenes. Some speculate that Jeon, as the eldest and the first to serve, may have advised against special treatment, triggering a quiet conflict of principle. It's all speculation, but painful speculation nonetheless, because in the absence of facts, emotions take over. And no emotion is louder than betrayal. Even if no direct betrayal occurred, emotional neglect can leave a scar just as deep. What if Jeon didn't do anything wrong, but simply failed to be present at the moment Jungkook needed him most? Jungkook's personality has always been one of silent endurance. He rarely speaks out unless the pain can no longer be held in. For years, fans applauded his maturity. Now, some wonder if that very maturity became a burden, forcing him to carry feelings no one else noticed. He has often said, "I love our members like family." But even in families, trust can fade. What makes this situation even more emotionally devastating is how private Jungkook's struggles have always been. He smiles, he performs, he breaks records, and behind it all, he quietly wrestles with thoughts no one else can hear. Until now, until one sentence cracked the illusion. "I don't know who's sincere among us anymore." Whether that was about Jeon or the group as a whole, the emotional aftermath is impossible to ignore. So what happens now? Will HYB step in with a statement? Will Jeon respond? Will Jungkook clarify what he meant? Or will this remain one of those heartbreaking BTS mysteries that fans spend years dissecting, knowing full well they may never get closure? This confession, real or not, has already changed something. The way fans see Jeon, the way they listen to Jungkook's songs, the way they revisit old footage, searching for missed signals, the way they brace for the group's future. Because when the youngest begins to doubt the sincerity of his own brothers, the foundation doesn't just shake, it splinters. And for a fandom that has built itself on trust, love, and transparency, that's a pain no army ever expected to feel.